let's head back out to the Vatican, shall we? Where that white smoke billowed out of that chimney atop the Sistine Chapel, and the world welcomed Pope Leo XIV.
Yeah, right now you're taking a live look at Vatican City. Leo delivered an early morning homily inside the Sistine Chapel this morning. What is sure to be the first of many. Today, after all, is kind of like the first day of the rest of his life, right?
Yeah. And what happened during the conclave process is still a secret. It likely always will be, but we could get a better idea when we hear from American cardinals, including Cardinal Dolan, in just a couple of minutes.
Trying to see if they'll spill the tea a little
Exactly.
bit. Either way, it seems his peers drew a quick liking to the man now known as Pope Leo. We saw white smoke after only about 24 hours, and much to the delight of millions of Catholics around the world. ABC's Patrick Reevell is at the Vatican for us this morning. Patrick, what's the feeling there right now?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, St. Peter's Square is filled with tourists. Those red curtains on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica are still hanging, where we saw the new Pope emerge yesterday. As you were saying, the new Pope Leo XIV delivering a mass this morning in the Sistine Chapel, where he was elected during the conclave just yesterday. He spoke in English, the first American Pope. He said at the beginning of the homily, he said he believed that his fellow cardinals who had chosen him will now continue to walk with him. He then delivered the rest of the Mass in Italian, hitting on a number of themes that I think would have been very familiar to Pope Francis, talking about the need for a missionary church, the need for people to be given faith and not be turning just to money, power and technology. And obviously back at home, people have been trying to glean more of an understanding and racing to learn more about this first American Pope, Robert Francis Prevost, deeply shaped also by his time in Peru. He was there for 2 decades before Pope Francis 2 years ago tapped him also to head up the department that oversees bishops here at the Vatican, a very powerful role and one that would have introduced him to the cardinals who elected him. But we also have been hearing from his brothers back in the US who said that they believe he will very much continue in the vein of Francis, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Patrick Reevell from the Vatican. So much to talk about here. So we want to bring in Father Thomas Massaro now to continue the conversation, a professor of moral theology at Fordham University. Father, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We know it's an exciting time, but many are wondering what is the direction of the church now that we have Pope Leo now leading the Catholic Church. Do we see him moving in the direction of, Pope Francis, or a different direction?
Glad to be with you, Pedro. Yes, that's the question of the hour, is it not? We're all trying to read the tea leaves about the points of continuity and possible change or difference from Pope Francis. What I see so far is a pope that has said and done things in 22 hours or something that are all the right things. First of all, on the balcony yesterday, in his short address, just a couple of paragraphs, he echoed many of the themes of Francis, thanking Francis by name, and talking about openness and talking about the synod, which is a way of being church that's participatory, and talking about peace. These are 3 of Pope Francis's favorite words. And then today in that Sistine Chapel, very small mass just for his fellow cardinals, he said all the right things about being a humble leader, wanting to serve. He doesn't like to call attention to himself. So the tea leaves are looking pretty good, and we'll probably find some things where he differs from his predecessor, Pope Francis. I don't know what they would be at the moment, but we'll keep following his homilies, his speeches, his writings in the coming months and years, and see what spin he puts on the papacy.
Father Massaro, Charlene here. You talked about some of the tea leaves that he dropped right out of the gate. You heard Pope Leo talk about peace. You heard him talk about unity. How might this early tone shape the future under his leadership?
Yeah, that's a good question, Charlene, and especially that word peace. So his very first words after being announced were, "Peace be with you." Now, Christians know that those are words that Jesus spoke to his apostles on Easter Sunday after his resurrection. But think about what peace means in today's world, 2025. Pope Francis spent the last few years of his papacy working so hard on the diplomatic level to try to broker a peace in 2 parts of the world especially, and you know what they are: the Gaza conflict with Israel and the Ukraine-Russia war. So he sent Cardinal Pizzaballa to the Ukraine to try to get a peace with Putin. He called every night the one Catholic church in Gaza to check in on the parish there. I believe his last frustration of his life was his inability to bring about peace. So from what I know of the new Pope, Leo XIV, he is dedicated to peace, and he might be the Pope that's able to persuade these world leaders, whether it's Benjamin Netanyahu or whether it's Putin, to broker a peace that will stop the fighting and especially the slaughter of tens of thousands of innocent civilians.
The one who could bridge the divide, if you will. Father Massara, thank you. We appreciate it.